Michael was born in Dublin, Ireland. He was the youngest in his family. He was born with partial hearing loss and with time became completely deaf.
Hearing loss, a deviation or change for the worse in either auditory structure or auditory function.
One of the great difficulties I think that they had in diagnosing hearing loss in those days is like that they didn't have the equipment that's available there today, and therefore that you were got to look for external clues as to his hereditary hearing loss. My grandfather on my mother's side had a hearing loss, and then none of his children had. Given that I did have a hearing loss, you go to the family doctor, and then my mum was directed to go along to an ear, nose and throat specialist. And in those days, again, it's nothing like there today. They didn't know very much as to what was kind of causing the hearing loss and that. Okay? And what they would do was pretty terrible, at least it was for me, that they would try to blow out your sinuses and so forth, and that they used to put your things up against your nose and get you to blow out just to try to see if there was some blockages and so forth. But hearing, which was got progressively worse. I didn't wear a hearing aid until I was in my teenage years, and I didn't, also in terms of the phones, they came along with telecoms that enabled that the hearing aids, when you were in the telecall, would cut out the background noise. I hear best when we're in a quiet room like this, when I'm close to the speaker. Also, if there's background noise, that's difficult. So that meant that in terms of socializing, it was a lot more difficult for me. It was very hard for me to talk to a girl and understand what she was saying above the noise. I was diagnosed earlier on that, but in terms of hearing loss, there's a spectrum of hearing loss range. Okay? And so, if you get an audiogram done, what they do is that they measure the amount of hearing loss at different frequencies. And very often, people have what is known as a speech banana, because when you plot frequency versus hearing loss, and you get the shape of the curve, it's like a banana. When I first got a hearing aid, I can even recall there today that everything seemed to bang loud. You were hearing all of these noises that you hadn't heard before. And because they were so new to me, it was uncomfortable at the beginning. So that there is some adjustment time that is required to be able to go along and utilize a hearing aid to its maximum benefit. Our hearing works, but there's a drum, and then there's a cochlea, and cochlea is really made up of thin hairs. It's almost like, if you will, like the strings in a guitar, so that when you say something, it bangs against my eardrum, which causes the sound to reverberate. But in any event, it got to the point that in my case, having a hearing aid alone was not sufficient. What I am faced with was, because I got my cochlear implant in around 18 years ago. And even at that, because I was one of the first adults here in Houston to get a cochlear implant, the battery only lasts between 2 and 4 hours, because it uses up a hell of a lot of energy.
Despite his hearing loss, Michael is a successful chemical engineer and enjoys life with his beautiful family.